Ah, gather round me, hearties, and I'll regale ye with a tale from the days when I sailed the high seas as Captain Renard, a vixel of the finest caliber. It was aboard the Scarlet Sabre, our trusty pirate frigate, that this adventure unfolded. My first officer, Chris Sin, another cunning vixel, and our jovial ship's cook, Jack Jones, were with me every step of the way. There was one particular scuffle I remember vividly, a tale whispered among the crew with hushed reverence, for it was a day we sailed off the edge of the world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see. It all began on a muggy, moonlit night. The Scarlet Sabre was docked in a bustling port town named Harbour's End. The town was a haven for pirates, traders, and all manner of adventurous folk. And its most notorious establishment was the Broken Anchor Tavern. If you should ever set your sails there, I highly recommend you buy the food, but avoid the ale if you value your tongue. Anyway, the night was as dark as pitch, with only the faint glow of lanterns and the twinkling stars above to pierce the obsidian veil. The salty aroma of the sea permeated the air, and the crew of the Scarlet Sabre, myself included, descended upon the tavern with a thirst for both drink and knowledge. The tavern was a dimly lit den of inquiry, filled with the raucous laughter and heated arguments of patrons from every corner of the globe. The air was thick with the scent of tobacco smoke, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the withered wooden tables and walls adorned with nautical memorabilia. As Chris, Sin, Jack Jones, and I took our seat in a corner, the barkeep, a burly one-eyed man with a long scar that traced his cheek, approached us with a knowing grin. "Captain Renard, what brings ye here tonight?" he asked, recognizing us as regulars. "Aye, we're in search of a tale, my friend," I replied, leaning in closer. "A tale of treasure, hidden at the ends of the earth, guarded by a celestial being." The barkeep's good eye widened in surprise. "Ye be treading dangerous waters, Captain. But if ye be interested, there's a man in the far corner, a seasoned sailor, who come to have seen the Guardian with his own eye." We followed the barkeep's gaze to the table in the dimmest corner of the tavern, where an old sailor sat hunched over a tankard of rum. His grizzled beard and weather-beaten face told the story of a lifetime spent at sea. With cautious excitement, we approached the old salt and asked him to share his tale. The sea dog, whose name was simply Mott, spoke of his harrowing voyage on the edge of the world. He described the tempests that threatened to swallow his ship whole, the eerie glow of the celestial guardian's presence, and the tantalizing glimpses of treasure that had eluded him. His words were both a warning and an invitation, a siren's call that beckons us towards one of the greatest adventures of our lives. It was from the old sea dog Mott that we learned the full length of the celestial guardian, and the treasure hidden beyond the known world. With this newfound knowledge, our sense of anticipation grew, and we departed the Broken Anchor Tavern that night with our hearts set on the edge of the earth, where unimaginable riches and a celestial being awaited our arrival. The next day had dawned like any other, the salty breeze ruffling our fur and feathers as we set course for the unknown. The sun painted a golden path across the water's surface, and the crew of the Scarlet Sabre were filled with a sense of anticipation that danced on the edge of trepidation. We'd heard the rumors of a treasure unlike any other, guarded by a celestial being only accessible through uncharted waters. And as we sailed further and further from the known world, the sea grew wider, its waves rising like the mighty backs of sea serpents. The skies above turned ominous, with clouds that seemed to gather like a brooding tempest on the horizon. Thunder rumbled in the distance, a low, menacing growl that sent shivers down even the most stalwart sailor's spine. The very ocean seemed to churn in anticipation, as if it were a living, breathing entity aware of our intrusion into its uncharted domain. Fear gnawed at the edge of our resolve, threatening to consume us in its dark embrace. Yet we were determined, driven not only by the promise of unimaginable riches, but also by the spirit of adventure that had brought us to the pirate's life in the first place. Our hearts pounded in our chest, our breaths mingled with the salty air as we faced the unknown with a mixture of courage and foolhardiness. The crew, a motley assortment of beings from different corners of the world, had become a family, bound by the call of the sea, death's 7-year curse, and the shared dream of fortune beyond imagination. We had weathered storms, outwitted other pirates, and dodged the pursuit of the very Imperial Navy. But this journey was unlike any other. It was a journey into the very heart of mystery and danger, a journey that would test our mettle and perhaps redefine our understanding of the world. And so, under the ominous skies, and with the relentless sea as our only witness, the Scarlet Saber plowed forward, sailing further into uncharted waters and into the heart of a legend that would become our greatest adventure yet. Just as despair began to claw upon our hearts, we spotted it, a colossal whirlpool, the likes of which ye had never seen. It seemed as though the sea itself were devouring the world. The sea turned as pitch, and we were but a tiny speck in its maw. The crew muttered prayers, and even I, Captain Renard, felt a shiver of fear. As we sailed onward towards the edge of the world, the whirlpool closed around us, its churning maw swallowing the treacherous waters into its depth. All went black. The crew, once gripped by despair, now found solace in a calm sea that stretched out before us. The waves had transformed into glassy mirrors, reflecting the brilliance of the starry night sky above. It was as if we had sailed into the very cosmos itself, surrounded by a celestial tapestry of twinkling lights. And then, from the depths of that abyss, emerged a being of such radiant beauty that it seemed almost surreal. She was a celestial maiden, her skin glowing with ethereal light. Her hair flowed like liquid moonlight. Her presence filled our hearts with wonder and awe. Her voice was as sweet as a siren's. It called out to us in a language only the sea could understand, a melody that resonated deep within our souls. My heart swelled with a mixture of awe and trepidation as I addressed the celestial being. "I am Captain Renard, and these are my loyal crewmates, Chris Sin, Jack Jones. We seek only treasure, said to be guarded here." The celestial maiden, who introduced herself as Celine, smiled benevolently.
"You have come far, brave souls, the first to make it all the way through the moor since I watched dragons roost and mermaids play, the first since the mountains went to sleep deep beneath these waves, and so I shall grant your request, but only if you promise to protect the secrets of these waters."
We swore our oath to Celine, and with a wave of her hand she conjured a shimmering chest overflowing with precious gems, pearls, and artifacts of untold value. As we sailed away from the edge of the world, the colossal whirlpool closed behind us with a tremendous roar, like the jaws of a leviathan, descending upon its prey. In an instant, it seemed as though the sea itself were devouring the Scarlet Saber, the ship vanishing into the swirling vortex of water. For heart-pounding moments that stretched into eternity, we were trapped within the abyss, tossed and turned by the tempestuous currents. The very fabric of reality seemed to warp around us, and despair clawed at our hearts as we grappled with the uncertainty of our fate. But just when it felt like all hope was lost, the world around us shifted once more. The seas, once ravenous and chaotic, became as still as glass, as if the whirlpool had never existed. And then, with a force beyond comprehension, the Scarlet Saber was expelled from the depths of the abyss with a tremendous burst of energy. We were thrust back into the realm of the living. Our ship emerged from the depths like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It was a moment of sheer exhilaration. The crew's cries of triumph echoed across the open sea. We had defied the very laws of nature again, escaping the maw of the whirlpool and returned to the world. This miraculous escape only deepened the sense of awe and wonder that surrounded our encounter with Selene, the celestial guardian. It was as if the sea itself had tested our mettle and found us worthy of its mysteries. And so, with hearts filled with gratitude and determination, we sailed back to the familiar seas, changed by the miraculous twists of fate that had brought us to the edge of the world and then back again. Of course, if you think that story was a far-fetched one, wait till I tell you about the time I ran aground and found the island of sausage trees. Strangest flowering plants I ever laid eyes upon. If you stick around, I just might tell you about it.